With World at War's inclusion of wonder weapons, Black Ops 1 only sought to elevate the fun and creativity up to 11. This left Black Ops 2 with some high expectations for its wonder weapon selection. And while I think the wonder weapons in this game are indeed fun and unique, they mostly have, like, zero lore. Like, legitimately just nothing. So I'll do what I can with what I got. Let's get into the wonder weapons featured in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Thrustodyne Aeronautics Model 23. Or just the jet gun if you really don't feel like saying that mouthful of a name every time. This weapon really puts into question what wonder even means when it comes to a map's unique weapon, as this weapon is so infamous, so actually dog water, that it has become a joke within the community. Until its return in Black Ops 6, where it got some much needed upgrades, including the ability to upgrade it. The origins behind the weapon are not told in BO2, but due to the circumstances Victus finds themselves in, perhaps it was just an invention of a survivor who didn't make it, or Victus themselves. The weapon played a crucial role in either of the Doctors' plans for the polarization device. Only able to be fired for 10 seconds before exploding and needing to be rebuilt, this weapon is more a hindrance than it is wonderful. It takes nearly 2 minutes for the weapon to cool itself down, and during this cooldown period, it must be held. Otherwise, it will not make any progress. I'd advise just not using this weapon, as it will probably get you killed more than it will the zombies. One final thing. The jet gun is capable of flight in BO2, very minimal flight, and more so just falling with style. I mention this because a weapon later in BO2's lifetime did this idea better, and because the BO6 version of the jet gun lacks this ability altogether. Sliquifier. In another infamous map, Die Rise, or the best map ever made if you're Johnny J, came the Sliquifier. Despite the map's controversy, the wonder weapon itself was actually of good use and welcomed with open arms. Originally the most broken thing known to man, it was nerfed heavily in an update patch, reducing its overall usefulness. Thankfully, the weapon is still fun to use, and allowing yourself to set up slip and slides throughout the map, or just make zombies clumsily fall over and explode. Again though, this weapon has no lore, and it possibly shares similar origins to the jet gun in that it was created by a long-lost survivor or by Victus themselves. The weapon, like the jet gun, played a role during the main quest for this map, where you soak some balls. And one last shared trait with the jet gun is the inability to upgrade the weapon. Although, unlike its predecessor, this one doesn't really need an upgrade because it kinda kicks ass already. Just be careful you don't slip and die yourself. One final thing, the weapon oddly makes an appearance in the BO2 multiplayer map, Studio, a reimagining of BO1's firing range. Blundergat and Acidgat. As someone whose favorite weapon type just so happens to be shotguns, I think the idea of adding more barrels at the end of a 19th century shotgun to be perhaps the most perfect invention known to mankind. The satisfying single shot and quick reload, the way it absolutely destroys zombies with ease, I mean, surely it can't get any better than that, right?
Okay, it shoots acid now!
Through finding a trilogy of parts, you can make an already badass shotgun even more badass, shooting 3 acidic bombs that semi-attract zombies, exploding and melting those in its vicinity. I don't know why it doesn't fire 4 rounds when it's a 4-barrel shotgun, but I digress. The weapon's origins is from the American Civil War and was in the Warden's private collection. As for the acid variant, I'd assume it's just the Warden getting experimental and sadistic. When upgraded, the Blundergat becomes the Sweeper, and the Acidgat becomes the Vitriolic Withering, respectively. Hell's Retriever. This fire-embedded tomahawk has no lore, in-game that is. But the reason behind its inclusion has to do with Alcatraz's real-life history. Alcatraz has gone by several names, one of which being Evil Island. This rings true to the Ohlone tribe, who believed the island to be cursed and, well, evil. Members of the tribe who violated their laws and beliefs would become banished to the island, forced to live out their days isolated. Despite their beliefs of the island's evil nature, the Ohlone tribe would still make occasional trips to the island in order to scavenge for resources. As for how you get the weapon, you simply feed 3 dog heads throughout the map. With this map's parallels to Hell and the Underworld, a reference to the watchdog of the Underworld in Greek mythology is not really all that surprising. The weapon replaces your tactical, and when tossed will glide across the skulls of the dead before returning back to you. The longer the charge, the more damage it does, and the longer it stays out. The Hell's Retriever can also be upgraded into the Hell's Redeemer, becoming blue instead of orange, or red. Paralyzer. Perhaps one of my favorite wonder weapons in visual design alone.
I mean, it's just so cool looking!
Behaviorally, it's like an advanced jet gun, better in nearly every way. While it does still have a limited amount of time it can be fired, its cooldown is much more generous. Oh, and it doesn't break! Its damage still leaves a lot to be desired, however. Mentioned earlier how the jet gun had a flying ability, the Paralyzer fully realizes this idea, allowing you to fly over obstacles without even needing to purchase most of the map. And when it comes to fun factor, this weapon's where it's at. When upgraded, it becomes the Petrifier. Unfortunately though, its 115 fire time does not increase, nor does its cooldown. The weapon also becomes completely useless past round 70. Ray Gun Mark II. A surprising but very much welcome addition, and now staple in the series, was the Ray Gun Mark II. After Dr. Maxis developed the original ray gun, Dr. H. Porter got to work on the second generation model almost immediately. The Mark II is an improvement to the original in nearly every way. Faster fire rate, 3-round burst, no splash damage, and insane damage just altogether. Its strength and fire rate are so good in fact, that it will push you backwards when standing still. And not only that, but its pellets will pierce through entire hordes with ease. The Mark II was added retroactively to every BO2 map, as long as you own the Buried DLC. Which, you should!
I mean, it's only the greatest map of all time!
Unfortunately, one of its major downsides is its ammo supply. It burns through its rounds quick, even when upgraded. Speaking of, when upgraded, the weapon becomes the Porter's Mark II ray gun. Time Bomb. A really cool mechanic and item if you're not in a public game, or with people you don't trust. The Time Bomb has no origins whatsoever. Perhaps it's just an invention of Jebediah's, but I'm not here to theorize. The Time Bomb, when thrown, places a pin in time. If the user activates the Time Bomb again, then everyone will be warped back in time to the moment the Time Bomb was first thrown. This can be helpful when a stupid down happens and you don't wish to lose all your perks. Or maybe your gun got lost in the Pack-a-Punch. This can also be bad though, because someone might just throw it on round 1 and use it on round 20, losing all of your progress. Maybe I see why they never brought it back. The Staffs of the Ancients. Long ago, during the Great War, 4 legendary heroes referred to collectively as Primus wielded 4 elemental staffs of immense power. With those staffs, they banished the Apothicons and evil back into the Dark Ether, cleansing the land of the undead sickness, and ultimately saving the world. Their heroic actions gave them a legacy known to few. Statues of them were constructed deep beneath a mound in northern France. And by World War I, the German Group 935 performed an excavation of this very same mound, uncovering the tomb that honored these 4 warriors. Both their statues and a journal they recovered detailed the 4 elemental staffs. Believing they could help the German war effort, the leader of the excavation, Dr. Ludwig Maxis, instructed his assistant, Dr. Edward Richthofen, to recreate the staffs. The 4 staffs were then reconstructed, but wielded no power as they lacked the elemental crystals. On June 4th, 1918, when a zombie outbreak occurred across the dig site, Richthofen, alongside his 3 new allies, Tank Dempsey, Nikolai Belinsky, and Takeo Masaki, obtained the crystals found within the crazy place and finished the assembly of the elemental staffs. The elements they wielded were fire, ice, lightning, and wind, respectively. When upgraded, they became the very same staves that Primus wielded during the Great War, and for whatever reason, the Staff of Ice reappeared in BO6's most recent map, as of making this video, the Tomb. Furthermore, when upgraded, they each gain new names. Well, as is the norm. The Staff of Ice becomes Ol's Arrow, named after Ullr, or Olir, in Norse mythology, was a winter god and god of skiing. He wielded a bow and arrow. The Staff of Fire is named Kagutsuchi's Blood, named after the god of fire in Japanese mythology. A tale describes the decapitation of Kagutsuchi. The blood that spilled from this god gave birth to 8 new gods. The Staff of Wind, now known as Boreas's Fury? Boreas? Doesn't matter. Named after the Greek god of winds and storms. The Fury part of the weapon's name is more than likely a reference to Boreas's short temper and known aggression. And finally, the Staff of Lightning becomes Kimat's Bite. Kimat is a thunder god from Philippine mythology, and was a hound. Under the order of its master, Kimat would bite whatever they ordered. Unfortunately, I don't have much more info on Keymot than that. I wasn't really able to find much info. I apologize. G-Strike. And for the last wonder weapon of BO2, the G-Strike. Not really much of a wonder weapon, but I'm including it anyway. G-Strikes, the G, presumably standing for giant, are airstrike markers for the German giants to unleash a flurry of rockets on. It was essential to uncovering a bunch of buried Panzer Soldats? For whatever reason. The lore behind it is simply a Group 935 invention, but if I had to guess who made it, probably Richtofen. He and Maxis seem to be the only ones who did anything in Dimension 63's version of Group 935 anyway. And that's every Black Ops 2 wonder weapon. Again, I will be doing videos like this for BO3 and BO4 in the future, but as of now, I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.